Thanks for checking out this highlight from the Casually Hardcore podcast. If you want to check out the full podcast after the show, please be sure to hit the top link in the description. But now, let's do it. How do you balance playing Classic and retail? Arleus?
Yeah, so I've actually had to come to terms with this recently. I tried to balance playing Classic and retail myself. And, I went full-time as a streamer, which is awesome. And I have tons of time relative to what I used to have. But even still, there's so much to do in each individual game that I can't perfectly balance it. Maybe if I wasn't a streamer, and maybe if I wasn't trying to, pull off world records and get ready for TBC and things like that.
What do you mean by that? I'm just kind of curious.
So with my aspirations for Classic, like right now before TBC comes out, I have 2 servers that I'm going to main, Pagel and Man Creek. I want a Druid, Pally, Mage, Hunter, Warlock on each of those servers. Leveling up each of those tunes, even through boosting, is going to take about 75 hours played. 75 hours played, if I'm streaming, 30 to 40 hours a week on average, that alone is 2 weeks per tune. Mm-hmm. And so if we have TBC in 2 to 3 months, there's not much time to go sit there and farm 10 Mythic Plus dungeons a week plus, 10 hours of raiding, because that's about 30 hours a week, right? And so I think in order to experience both games at their max potential, I personally had to shift my focus to Classic. And so I ultimately stopped raiding actually like 2 weeks ago. Stopped raiding in retail. I was having a ton of fun with it, and you definitely can balance it. But that was just the choice that I made to focus more on the Classic side. But I think a lot of people could balance it, because you don't, unless you're going to try to do everything in one game, I think you could do both pretty easily.
How do you decide what the priority is? What made you decide that many, what made you decide that many classes on 2 servers versus just trimming some classes to say, you know what, then I'll raid less days a week and join a raid team that has slower progress or something?
The raid team that I was already raiding with was not slow, but on the slower side, and call it the competitive nature in me. But I wanted to finish, if I was going to raid, I wanted to be doing the Mythic content. I didn't want to be just traversing through normal every single week and heroic every single week. And with TBC, I have so much excitement for arenas and raiding in TBC that I saw it as more of a priority than retail.
I'm just how many hours a week do you play? I'm just somewhere what's a full-time content creator? Because Chris and I this is just more of a general curiosity, and hopefully that's not an offensive statement, because it's just what is full-time content creation, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of things that go in the back end, right? There's a lot of things you have to do off stream that people don't know about. On stream, I'm about 30 to 40 hours a week.
How much time off stream?
Probably about 20.
So you're a 60-hour work week, full-time content creator.
He was a 100-hour work week, 80 to 100-hour work week CPA, so he's taking it.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, my dad's a CPA.
I knew him before this. You did not. So
that's true.
For him, he's like, I've made it. Only 60 hours.
Only 60 hours of work. My dad's a CPA, and so it's within that industry, it was always kind of funny because, it's my sister followed him into that career path, and I was like, no, I'm going to go make video games. That's what I want to do, and so that's what I went to study, and so it's just and then I've done 60 and 80 hours, and if you're working 100 hours, 60 is nothing.
So for just a full backstory disclosure for
please,
So I worked at a Big Four accounting firm, and we had 8 months of busy season. During that busy season, I'd work as late as 5:30 a.m. So during busy season while streaming, I basically had to make the decision. I was either going to continue being a CPA or I was going to make the leap to streaming, because I was working from 9 a.m. until anywhere between 7 and 9 p.m., stopping streaming until about midnight or 1, and then going back to work till anywhere between 3 and 5 a.m. Every day. And it was just way too much, including
planning a wedding.
And planning a wedding, yeah. So it was a lot. But yeah, now it's much different. So yeah, like I said, about 30 to 40 hours streaming, and then about 20 hours off, and then you have the YouTube time as well, because I make YouTube videos as well.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, like at the end of the day, absolutely. The I'm just it was just
How
it,
do-
all of a
how-
sudden
how
I was
daunting.
like how much time, like, okay, so here, let me follow that up with this. Between retail and classic, is there a kind of a divided split of like 60% of your time here, or does that vary week to week? Like, you've piqued my curiosity in ways that I like, things that like aren't even on the outline. I'm like, I have to know your process.
Yeah. So I mean, when retail came out, I mean, as an aside, the majority of my user base is my viewership base is classic. So I will stream on classic. I'll have, anywhere between like 200 and 400 people watching. I'll hop onto retail and I'm down to 60 viewers. So the majority of them like watching classic. But when retail first came out with Shadowlands, I was playing Shadowlands probably, 6 to 8 hours a day, trying to get a jump on everything. The next few months, I would probably say that I played retail probably about 15 hours a week, maintaining my classic time, maybe a little bit less classic time. So it was probably about a 30, 70, 40, 60 split, with classic being the dominant one. Now I honestly log into retail for probably a couple hours a week.
Okay. Just, man, it's so fascinating. So sorry, I got on a tangent.
No,
He's also doing things in games that aren't done. So
it's
the speed leveling and the pulls and all that. That's the game wasn't designed for somebody to be spending time doing the things he's doing.
Yeah.
And so to get to the mainline content and then do stuff that's pushing the envelope, it's hard to do both, right? Somebody who wants to be the best pet battler in retail is also going to have trouble finding time to raid. Because when you talk about grinding pets that are only up certain times a day, certain weather patterns, like getting every single pet, grinding them all to max level, taking advantage of the super, whatever they're called, events where there's the 2 moons align and there's a pet buff at the same time that a certain daily's up, and you've got to sit and spend 12 hours grinding up pets to cap. Like, you could take any part of this game and make it full time. And then immediately feel like you don't have time to do the mainline content.
100%. And it's not to say that you can't either.
Right.
When Shadowlands first came out, I was raiding 4 days a week, right? I'd raid 2 days classic, 2 days retail. So it's 100% doable, and anybody can do it 100% in balance between the two. Just for me personally, that's why I went to classic.
Oh, fun. I hope that you really enjoyed that highlight, and I hope that you check out the full podcast. Again, link is in the description. Thanks for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic day, you wonderful, beautiful individual.